When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode. Now, are you a big reader? Do you read a lot?
I like to read. Yeah, I usually have 2 or 3 or 4 books going on at one time. Yeah, leadership books, self-improvement books. Of course, my number one book every morning is the Bible. I'm going through the New Testament right now. Things like this, we always need to be reading. This one's on business continuity, crisis management. Really, really great book. And I'm sure you know this guy. This is probably one of my very favorites.
Oh, Jordan
Peterson.
Okay.
Really, really, really good. Yeah. Yep.
Who would you say your favorite author in leadership?
It continuously changes as I read a new book. I get so engaged and enthusiastic. I'd say right now it probably is Jordan Peterson, and I like the stuff that Jocko writes as well. Those are kind of my 2 go-tos right now.
Yeah, if you look at I know there's a lot of Navy SEALs out there. Would Jocko be probably the lead ex-military leadership author out there right now in the industry?
Yes, and if you want to go fiction, it would be Jack Carr.
Jack Carr, okay.
Jack Carr writes some great, authentic, right? If you're reading it and it's fiction, that's okay, but it's got to make sense. And when you're talking about weapons and maneuver and so forth, it has to make sense, especially to guys like us who read that stuff, and it really does. So it's good reading.
So here's a $1 million question, Glenn. When in your career, like let's say overseas, I know you said you don't have much fear, but has there been a moment in your life where you were faced with making a split-second decision where there could be casualties, maybe overseas or business casualties?
So it was a constant struggle because the program managers had a mission. Their mission was to get the construction work completed, constantly wanting to go out to the field and see the work being completed. We would have intelligence reports that would come back and say, hey, it's not a good time. Well, myself, I don't like to be a no-sayer either. I understand that they have a mission, I have a mission. So we had one time where a project manager was adamant to go see a prison build that we were doing in downtown Baghdad, and he was adamant about it. And so I told him it just wasn't possible. And talking to my country manager, shout out to Guy Irvin, who was a Navy SEAL himself. He went out with a team to recon the area, and it was only one way in, one way out. And they got in there, and they almost got trapped. They got ambushed. They were able to, break through the ambush and get back safely. But, just things like that. And at the end of the day, what we need to understand is life is very precious, right? I'm not throwing away anybody's life or any build or anything else. It's not worth it. I don't want to be the one responsible to have to say to a loved one, your father or mother or whomever isn't coming home anymore because we felt like the project, right? And this isn't, we weren't on the military side, we're on the civilian side, that the project was more important than somebody's life. It just can't happen. And so to be able to say that the 500 some odd engineers came back without having one fatality from the conflict. We did have one guy who had a heart attack and he died in his sleep over there, but otherwise no casualties. Was just, again, my greatest accomplishment. It has nothing to do with the amount of work we did over there. It had to do with, saving people's lives. And that's what motivates me the most today with Bridgestone. I do a lot of teaching and so forth in workplace violence and active shooter type stuff. I really believe that if we care about each other enough and we create these relationships, that we can typically see these things coming. There's indicators, and we can actually help to save lives. And, where we're losing veterans to suicide every day, I think if we can have relationships with those guys and really know them, that we can see when things are going tough and try to step in and help.
Yeah, that's a great point about the veteran suicide rate being really high right now. They're getting out, they lose their purpose once they leave,
Yep.
trying to identify what that purpose is. And they see the culture that's evolved in the United States is not the culture they've seen 5 years ago. It's changing so fast. And so we're dealing with those issues. And I can see that being problematic. And you said something earlier that kind of struck a nerve, a tone that was good. The fact that, you're more focused about life, preserving life versus having a lost life on a detail overseas. And it's so, true to this day after me losing both my parents due to disease and natural causes, that life is very short. And, we get stuck in this thing about success and our roles and our identity and what we do, but we forget about the now. We forget about the people that we affect in our daily lives and our family, and those people are very important. And I think in the EP world, we get so honed in on making money and lots of money because it's out there. But what is it worth? What is your time worth, folks? You got to evaluate that, because we're going into a transition in the industry. We got the big players. We got they'll always exist, and competition will always exist because that's what makes America great. There's great people in all these organizations. So I'm not going to talk negatively about anybody, but I'm talking about you as a core individual. What is that you hold most value? Is it really working an EP detail making $550 a day? Is it really being a bodyguard to that CEO of a $1 billion company? Or is it your value is to be with your kids and being on a residential detail, or maybe working a project with Bridgestone, at a corporate role, 40 hours a week, going home to your kids and watching your kids grow up, because you can have balance in this industry. And I think there's a misnomer that there's imbalance in executive protection. Yes, there is, because I was guilty of that. And myself, I was doing 40, 50 hours a week up and down the I-5 corridor, jumping on every gig I could. And they called me Mark the Suitcase Monkey because I lived out of my suitcase out of my car. I did for years. But what changed was when my dad got sick, I chose to, like Glenn said earlier, serving others. And I got more glory, more rewarding out of taking care of my dad for 3 years and leading the industry to focus on taking care of my dad until he passed on. You have to really look at yourself, folks, and actually ask yourself, what is more important? What is your why in this industry? Why are you doing what you do in the executive protection industry? Because if it's all about the money, that passion, that fire will die out really quick because you'll burn yourself out. But if I can say anything to those guys listening and gals listening, balance is so crucial in this industry. And I like how Glenn is very involved in his faith and what he does in his church, and that gives him balance. And that's why I think he's got so much fire in him, because he has a balance of something that gives him more than just EP. EP is a great industry. It's a great career. But if you lose that balance, you're like your washing machine. When it gets out of balance, it starts making noise and it shakes all over the place. And if I can add value to the industry, what's your thoughts on that, Glenn?
Yeah, no, you're right. Here's what's difficult sometimes to understand is the time we invest in our children is of the utmost importance, because they are our future. Our children are our future, and they are going to create a ripple effect. So every person that you touch and you mentor well, especially your children, there's a ripple effect, and you don't know who they're going to touch and what that result is going to be 100 years from now. You may have started something here that ripple effected out and just created great change of something amazing that happens. And a lot of people, I don't think, feel fulfillment in saying, well, I don't want to just stay home and spend time with my kids because I could be out making more money. I could be traveling and doing these other things, when this is just so important. And getting back to your family, I am so blessed to have the opportunity right now. My mom lives in Boston. This summer, she is moving down here. We're building a house for her. She's paying for it. We're building it. But it's going to be right across the street from us. So guess what? The kids are going to have grandma down here. Grandma's going to be 82 this year.
Wow.
And we're going to be able to have a close relationship, and they'll have a close relationship with their grandma. And we'll be here to help her as she gets older. Because you know what? I really think I should return the favor after she really took care of me for a lot of years and still does. So yeah, it's just that important. So if you think that you don't have a mission, but you have a family, you have a wife and kids or nephews and nieces. By the way, I have 2 nephews who served in the military as well. It's just so important. And you can watch that. You can watch that blossom into something amazing.
Yeah, I think people really put their families on the shelf just to have success in this industry. I mean, I did it. You know, in my 30s, I was all over LA working in the Hollywood circuit, the celeb stuff. I did it all. Got the T-shirt. And I look back at it, I'm like, what would I do differently? I would have to say, I would probably, you know, settle down, you know, found somebody, got married and had the family, because there's so much value to as you mature and grow in life. That experience is irreplaceable. And a career in the executive protection industry cannot replace that. And I see so many guys, I think what it is, a lot of guys go from the military mindset and get in the EP mindset, and they apply that same military mindset in the EP mindset.
And,
to be successful.
you know, yeah, sure. So, no, I agree. And anybody who thinks that it's not possible, it absolutely is. You have to have faith in what's supposed to be. When I was living out in California with the engineering company, my wife is younger than I am. She's German. And I do have to give a shout out to my amazing 31-year-old daughter in Germany and her Swedish husband, Jonas, Jenny and Jonas. They have amazing. I haven't been able to see my granddaughter yet, Ava, because of the pandemic. But, you know, 10, 12 years ago now, when our youngest son, Zach, was born out in California, and we realized that for personal reasons, we didn't want to raise our kids out there. Our house was $100,000 upside down in the mortgage, and we had all of these other problems. And we thought that we were cornered with no way out. But when we put it out there and said, you know what, through our faith, it will be taken care of, and it happened. I found this job with Bridgestone. They helped with the transition. They helped with the sale of the home, and it clicked and happened. And now I'm, here in Nashville, just with a great family life with our 3 kids. It's been an amazing journey. I wouldn't change any of that. But going back to what you said, I would change the way let's put it this way, the way I behaved as a young man after the military, just chasing the dollar and the adventure.
That'd be a big shift, because I know a lot of the younger guys are chasing that, and that's what they see. They social media influences, Facebook. They see what they see, and that's a draw. It's sexy. It's an allure.
I think we have another little hiccup. It's pouring outside.
Poor Glenn's getting hammered with the hurricanes and tornadoes out there. So bear with us on the show. Our editors will be working diligently on this show. It's all good. Overcome and adapt,
I think
right?
So.
Overcome and adapt. We'll get through it. Oh, and if you're listening to this,
my wife's word for this year is pivot.
We'll pivot on the podcast show. There you go.
Yeah.
But Glenn's got a lot of, for you guys listening, to try and figure out what we're talking about. We're just talking about the values of family versus the, EP career. And, Glenn's been having a huge career in Bridgestone as a director of security, global security all over the world. He monitors their risk management and stuff like that at Bridgestone. And he just explaining to us the value of family and not chasing the dollar, but giving your family priority over work sometimes. Maybe taking Christmas off. I've spent so many years when I was in California. The last 2 years are the first 2 years in probably 15 years that I have not covered a royal family from the Middle East. And guess what? I didn't miss one day of it. I love being home. I love talking with my friends, hanging out for Christmas and New Year's and all that. But this first the last 2 years, I spent more time with my sisters, my nieces and nephews on holidays than I have in 10 years because I've always worked with royal families in the Beverly Hills. And so did I miss the Beverly Hills? Nope. I'm a country boy. I love the mountains. I'm in Oregon right now doing my recording. And it's just something to be said about finding your balance, finding your foundation, whatever gives you that foundation.
And guess what? You're not going to find it in more money and materialistic things, because I can tell you, traveling around the world, and I've worked in Africa, I've worked in Siberia, I've worked all around the world, and I engaged with those people. I grew up in Brazil for 5 years as a boy until I was 11. I can tell you that these families that have basically nothing, I can tell you what they do have, though. They have so much joy and happiness, even though they don't have, hardly shoes to put on their feet, and they're getting paid with bales of or bags of rice, but such happy and content people. I just love it. That just hits me to my core to really see that. It's such a blessing.
So, folks, if you're tuning in, trying to figure out how to be successful in the industry, how to thrive, and how to be the bodyguard, next CEO, this is probably not the podcast for you on this episode.
Well,
So
you know what, though? Those things will come by themselves, though. If you serve others, serve others, that will come.
True. Very true.
Because we are blessed to be, and I don't know if everybody's listening in the U.S., perhaps not, but as a first world country and so forth, we're blessed with what we have. So
totally are.
Our next phone is just a throwaway, right?
That's a fact. But yeah, folks, this has been more of a podcast of values and family, and just how to maintain a balance within your family and your work life, which what Glenn does with Bridgestone. I know he works ungodly hours, 80 hours a week, probably sometimes, monitoring all the global issues that he deals with his bosses. And he just seems to have that balance. And not many people have balance in the exec protection industry, because it's like a 24/7 operation. I call it, you're the on-call doctor in the security world. I mean, you are. When you get that call, I had a client call me last night. Hey, can you do this project for this rate? I'm like, wait a minute, nah. You have to know what your value is, and tell the client, hey, the value is this in this market, and I can't do it for this because the agents want that. And so there's a lot of that from a business side of the industry, and you'll grow into that. You'll learn how to do that over time. It just takes time. I've been at it for 15 plus years. Glenn's been at it, I'd say 20 plus.
A lot of years.
And you start seeing the same things over and over again after time.
Yeah. So I'll be 61 this year. And so, I've been doing this since the military, always been in security, either aviation security or contract security or corporate security. And you definitely need to spend time with your family, spend time creating relationships, and find ways to serve. Because it will give you so much fulfillment in life doing that, and it'll make everything else worthwhile.
Yeah, take care of you. Take care of your personal health, mental health. It's so key. Because the work, folks, I know you guys are all listening to this going, when's the next detail going to come? It'll come. We'll get back to work. Business will start opening up. Midterms of election will come and go, and things will start opening, and people will start traveling. But right now is the time. And I've learned to embrace the slow time. Right now it's slow all over the place. It's slow. Go hunting. Take your kids out on a vacation, mini vacation. It has to be expensive to do. Stay home vacation, and plan those things, and just take care of what's most important to you, which is your family and your health. Because you're not always going to have that health. The older you get, ask when things start falling apart. You have to start greasing and oil different body parts to be able to walk.
Yeah, you got that right. But also, you know what? Education. I didn't want to forget education. This life, you should be educating yourself every single day. And I'm not necessarily talking about a formal education. I went back and got my master's degree at 50 years old, which I thought was completely crazy to do that. But it was so beneficial. But feed your mind and always be educating yourself, in one way or another, reading or taking courses or going online to ASIS or whatever other organizations that you belong to, or could join for very little money. There's tons and tons of podcasts and YouTube things out there that you can be listening to and learning from. But yeah, continuous education.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that on YouTube, Glenn. I've been watching a lot of Grant Cardone stuff. The guy's, a genius marketer. He knows real estate, and I get bored sometimes, and I get, we both get sick of the news. I turn it off 90% of the time. I'm just so tired of it. I'll turn on Grant Cardone on YouTube and start learning about real estate and how he markets different things and how he promotes this thing. The guy's a genius. Yeah, he has belief systems and all that, whatever, each their own, but you can always learn something from somebody else, and that's what I value in. Like, I watch Christian West's stuff on YouTube and stuff, and there's some geniuses in our industry. Robert Dodge does some things the way he does things, and I'm always learning from these thought leaders. And like Glenn said, study, take courses and stuff. And YouTube offers you so many. It's basically its own channel of education if you look for it.
It is. Right now I'm learning how to beekeep. I want to get bees this spring and learn how to be, a beekeeper and raise bees and honey. You can learn that. You can learn how to do that and everything that's involved in it. There's channels on beekeeping. Everything is out there that, if you're looking for your next mission, you're looking for your next purpose, so much out there. It is so bountiful. It's incredible.
We live in a society of information overload.
Yeah.
Information availability is everywhere on YouTube. But yeah, I know you're busy, Glenn. Any parting thoughts or words of wisdom to people breaking into the business? Any advice?
Yeah. Don't let your work steal your joy.
Ooh, that's a good
Don't
one.
let your work steal your joy. Love life. If you don't love what you're doing, go find something else. There's so many great jobs out there. It doesn't need to be in security. It can be in so many different things. But if you don't love what you're doing, if you struggle to get up every morning and you don't have a true joy for life, go find a mentor, find somebody to help you. But go find something that's going to give you joy.
Amen to that. And if you guys want to follow this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mark Ludlow on Fearless Mindset. Subscribe to that channel. Also follow me on LinkedIn. Follow Glenn on LinkedIn as well. He's on there as well. And I'm on Instagram and I forget what other Twitter. We're all out there. Just look at Mark Ludlow. You'll find me. And I'm just here to add value to the industry, leadership value, mentorship value. And hopefully this adds value to the audience listening. And just want to say thanks to Glenn for his time, and sorry to the audience for the glitches. He's having tornadoes, all kinds of crazy weather over there, and where he's at. So bear with us, and thanks for your patience. And my podcast team will be in the background editing and splicing and stuff to put it all together like a fine puzzle. So shout out to Salescast and Chris Decker and the team for what they do to make this show successful. And what makes the show really successful is having guys like Glenn on and many other podcast guests that I've had, because they definitely bring in the audience, and he knows people all over around the world, and many guests do. But in podcasting, it's all about Glenn telling his story on what brings him joy and what makes him able to do what he does daily for work. So, and providing for his family. So with that said, Glenn, appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us. And please subscribe to our website too. And until next time, we'll have a couple of new guests coming on. Elijah Shaw will be coming on Friday. We'll be launching that here soon, and many other guests coming on, and I'll be traveling as well. We've got some exciting announcements for some training stuff I'll be doing in the near future. So thanks, Glenn, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mark. God bless. Thank you.